You're watching Oshkosh City Cable 10, your government channel.
I want to wish all of you a very good evening here tonight. For those of you that don't know, I'm Mayor Burke Tower, and on behalf of the City Manager, Mr. Mark Roloff, the City Council, and the staff and employees of the City of Oshkosh, I want to welcome you to this year's 2013 State of the City Address and Program. I'm absolutely delighted that you chose to come out and spend some time with us this evening. Without you being here, and without you folks, there would be no program here. So it means a great deal that you've chosen to come out and be with us tonight. As I look out, I see city employees, I see citizens, I see community leaders out here, government officials, elected officials, a whole host of people. And I'm most appreciative of the fact that you folks have come here and have an interest in learning more about the city of Oshkosh, what goes on in the city of Oshkosh, and the people who get the work done here on a daily basis. There's a group I'd like to introduce first of all. We have some of the city council members here, and I'd ask them to stand. They do a great deal of work in the community, so I'd ask those who are here to stand as I call off their names. Deputy Mayor Steve Cummings. Councilor, you can hold your applause till I get them all, so we'll have lots of time for applause tonight. Councilor Deb Allison Osby. Council Member Steve Herman. I don't know if Bob Peschel out there, was Bob out there? I didn't see him come in before. And how about Tom Peck? For those of you who do not know, Jeff Hall has left the city of Oshkosh. He resigned his position to take a new work position out in San Francisco working for Google. So Jeff is no longer on the city council, and in fact, we will be appointing somebody at our second meeting in April to his seat for one more year. Now, if you would, I'd appreciate if you give these people applause. They do an awful lot of work for us here. I think we have an interesting and fun program here tonight. There are really several parts to it. The main part, of course, is the State of the City address by Mr. Mark Roloff, our city manager. During his presentation, we'll make some community partner awards to some individuals and some organizations that have done some things that have a rather significant impact on this community in a very positive way. We also want to recognize tonight the individuals, a number of individuals who are on our boards and commissions who do so much work for the city, the city of Oshkosh. And then as you look around, the other part of the program really is the expo, the exhibit expo that we have with all of our departments here represented, people from those departments, so you can learn about what's going on in some areas of the city and also meet some of the people that you hear about periodically and talk to them about some of the projects that are going on here. So again, it should be a fun and interesting evening. But now to the main event. And here it's going to be my pleasure to introduce our city manager in his presentation of the State of the City address. Mark Roloff is our city manager. He's an individual that I've had a great deal of time to get to know quite well. I've come to respect him greatly as an individual, a person, as an administrator here in the city, and also as a leader in our community, coming up with lots of ideas. He's a man who has helped us prepare for the future while making sure that the daily affairs of the city are well attended to as we move along each day. He's a very positive person, excuse me, He has a can-do kind of attitude, and he practices what I call the art of the possible in a very innovative way to get things done. So without further ado, I want to introduce Mr. Mark Roloff, the City Manager of the City of Oshkosh, for the State of the City Address. Mark?
Good evening, everybody. I know a lot of you came from the Celebrate Education event over, and I know sometimes they serve some beverages that we don't necessarily serve over here at City Hall. So I thank you for coming, and hope you enjoy yourself with those beverages. But we're going to have a little drier event over here. We have cookies and lemonade for you. But want to thank the mayor and the members of council for their leadership. You know, we work under the council manager form of government here in Oshkosh, and what that is it really models itself after a corporate board of directors, and the mayor is the chairman of the board, and the council members are the board of trustees for our community. And I appreciate the guidance and leadership they give me, and I like to thank them and give them a round of applause as well. Thank you. One of the things that the council tasked me with back in 2012, there were several goals that they had set for me. One was to update our strategic plan. And we had initiated our first strategic plan a few years prior, but that was primarily staff initiated. So it was very encouraging to me and to staff when the council said, Mark, we want to get involved more in the strategic plan. And we had a day-long retreat and set some really ambitious goals for the community, but things that I think can be achieved. So the theme of tonight is really our new strategic plan, and we're going to unveil it a little bit and talk about some of the themes that we have in there. If you had a chance when you came in, over to your right is a big display of our strategic plan, and it's subtitled Roadmap to the Future. And nowadays, roadmaps aren't as much as in vogue as they used to be, because it's too hard, too unwieldy to unfold. So help me out, audience. What's replaced our roadmaps these days?
GPS.
Thank you. GPS in the back. So on your seat, and we figured that was the best way for you to see them, we put a little business card that has a GPS theme to it for our strategic plan. And on the back of it has our guiding principles. And the mayor referred to one of them immediately in his introductory remarks, the can-do spirit of the city. And I think you'll see that that's part of what we're going to talk about tonight. But the can-do spirit is not just with the city staff and the council, it's our entire community. And that's what it drives us and what makes us so successful. It's not just what we do in providing basic services, it's engaging the community, which is another one of our guiding principles. So we're going to talk a lot about the guiding principles as we get into a discussion of some of our goals. But the GPS is something that we do. And the first thing you got to do with your GPS when you get in your car is you got to power it up. So we're going to power up our GPS right here on the screen tonight, and we're going to talk about some of our goals. But the first thing you have to do is, okay, it's on, okay. First thing you do is, after you power it up, is you have to get your destination. So what's our destination? If you looked at the back screen, the screen we had there, it's Excellence in Oshkosh. That's what our destination is, and that's where we're moving towards. So there are going to be different points along this path to excellence. And when we come across those, we need to know what we're going to be doing. And the first one is improving our infrastructure. This is a carryback to our previous strategic plan, but if you haven't noticed, we've got a few little infrastructure issues in town. Okay, who did this? First off, notice the bus. This is not just a single vehicle in your GPS. This is a bus, because everybody in the community is on a GO Transit bus. And our routes start again on our new routes start next week. So we're kind of plugging that. So we don't go this far out on the bus, but we do go out to Highway 91 for our first visit on infrastructure. And if you haven't been out there, this is what we've been doing all winter long out there. We have been digging a huge detention pond for the Sawyer Creek watershed. The Sawyer Creek watershed is the largest watershed in the city, and without getting too technical, it's big. And the idea is that we need to hold back the water. A third of the watershed is up there. We need to hold back that water so that the rest of the water in the more urbanized areas can get out of there. But the one thing I always like to point out, and I need to point out, is Sawyer Creek's just one. It may be the largest, but it's only one of over 120 watersheds we have in this city. So we have to provide solutions all over the place, including right over at City Hall. And if you haven't been over on Church Avenue recently, we've kind of shaken things up a little bit. The idea here is we're going to be putting a concrete tank. No, it's not going to be a swimming pool for city employees. It's going to be a big underground water tank. And this is just a little time lapse of what we've been doing over the last couple weeks. And you can see that we're excavating and going to be putting in this tank. This is for what's called the Division Street watershed. So here's the time lapse you'll see. We cleared the cars, we didn't bury any, but we're moving towards getting this done. That'll be done by the end of the summer, and then we're upgrading a storm sewer on Jackson Street. Again, this is Division Street. I see John Casper in the back. John knows the Division Street watershed because anytime there's been a major flood at Division and Pearl or Jackson and Pearl, the basement of the chamber's been getting flooded. So John, I think we're trying to take care of that for you. But infrastructure, stormwater is just one major thing we're working on. The thing I wanted to point out with the City Hall parking lot that really demonstrates a lot of creativity, or as we show in our strategic plan, our little business card, innovative. We have to look for creative solutions. We can't just tear up an entire neighborhood block to address stormwater issues. This was a very creative way to do it. The City Hall parking lot needed fixing anyway. Those are the types of solutions we need to do to reach our goals. So with respect to stormwater, we've done a lot of work. We've accomplished a lot of things. But no matter where you live in the city, whether you live in one watershed or another watershed, the importance of stormwater management affects everybody, either indirectly or directly.
Flooding and stormwater quality impact all of us, either directly or indirectly. You know, if somebody's house hasn't flooding, great, you haven't experienced that loss personally, but as a city, you know, we all have. And emergency responses during flooding events, you know, that costs everybody within the city, you know, to pay for that response time. Businesses, you know, looking to maybe locate to Oshkosh, you know, if they know a certain area's got a flooding problem, well, they're probably not going to look at moving into that area.
Between me and a partner of mine, we own quite a bit of real estate that is actually in the stormwater areas. So we've really been through some problems and seriously millions of dollars worth of damage to our properties. Over the years, we've asked the city to help us, and the difference between now and then is so significant that this is, in fact, the new Oshkosh. I think we're actually addressing future need.
We are very close to the low point of the block between Baldwin and Melvin, where the drains are. And before the new system was put in, with heavy rains, it would inevitably flood. But since the sewer was put in, we've had none of that. It is a problem that has no quick fix. To have the fortitude and to understand that it needs to be done, regardless of how long it takes, I think that shows the kind of vision that city leaders need to have.
Okay. Mr. Isaacs talked about a lot of things, but one of the things we need to know is we have to have patience with this, because Melvin Avenue that he referred to is just another one of the watersheds. Each watershed needs to be addressed. And for those of you who we haven't gotten to yet, I think you understand that. But what was valuable with Mr. Isaacson's comments are that he recognizes that even though he's benefited from these improvements, that we need to get around the whole city to get this done. That's going to take time. If you go over to our Public Works booth, I believe James Robbie is back there tonight, and he knows this stuff backwards and forwards. And James will tell you, we have a 35-year plan. It's not going to be done overnight. We need patience. We need the fortitude that Mr. Isaacson refers to. So patience is one theme. The streets, we can't forget about the streets. We talked a lot about stormwater here, but streets need to get done. And our goal is we have every street in the city ranked on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being great, 1 being probably your street. We have the streets that are rated 1 through 3. Our goal within our 5-year capital improvement plan is to get 80% of those roads done. in those 5-year periods. So that's a very ambitious goal, but it's something that we need to get done. For those of you who are in the 20%, the reason we're not doing those is usually a coordination issue. Not that they don't deserve it, they absolutely need it. But even once we get that group done, there's another group that's in the 4 and 5 category that's going to slip to a 1, 2, or 3 over time. We can't forget about those. So that's the theme with infrastructure. We need to just keep forging ahead. The next goal in our strategic plan that the council identified for us is strengthening our neighborhoods. And this is an extremely important issue, and I think it's one that we've taken much more awareness to. So here we are back on the road, and yes, they got bobblehead Mark there, but here we are we're in the downtown area now. And the whole idea is to get our older neighborhoods, particularly immediately north and south of the river, to get the community engaged, involved, and helping us make decisions that are important for the whole community. This is just one example. No, it's not my house. No, thank goodness. This is a house that was on Parkway Avenue that we were able to acquire through a grant from the state and federal government. This was a blighted house. It was really bringing down the value of the entire neighborhood. The idea here is that we need to remove the blight, we need to replace it with something of value, and we've got a few ideas that we're doing that with. But the whole idea for this neighborhood is we need to increase home ownership in these areas. Without home ownership, private property owners owning and living on those sites, that's where if we don't have that, our neighborhoods are going to suffer. Here are some of the things we're doing. On Jefferson Street, we've developed some of our empty lots right now into community gardens. It has a couple benefits. One, it takes care of an empty site until we develop some long-term goals, but it also is an issue of sustainability, having people have good, healthy foods closer to their home. So we're real happy to partner with the community groups that have been engaged in that so far. We're also working on neighborhood rehabilitation projects, and you can see here with some of the examples that we're doing is we need to show that homes in this community can look great even though they're 80 and 90 years old. And these homes are 80, 90, 100 years old. And part of that is getting our codes up to date. And I know that that's been somewhat of a controversial issue in recent years, but the key is getting the neighbors involved. We need those stakeholders, the people who have a vested interest in the success of these neighborhoods. The whole idea is to get a more engaged community.
We need to look at our zoning ordinance because anything that's happening within our neighborhoods that can weaken the fabric of those neighborhoods, weakens our property values. Anything that you do as an individual property owner, you're not just affecting yourself, but you're affecting the neighborhood around you, which in turn is going to affect the community at large. The zoning ordinance is not the silver bullet. It won't cure everything. It's just one spoke on that wheel.
To keep Oshkosh strong, we have to have a strong resident power right in downtown Oshkosh and on the south side. So it's very important for the city to be conscious of the neighborhoods.
Oshkosh is fortunate to have a really very responsive city government. And they've taken a lot of steps with reprogramming the funding that comes in to be used for neighborhood improvements, and that is not only on the private property side, but public improvements.
Our neighborhoods are the foundation of our community. Even if some of them don't have names, in the last couple of years we've named one Middle Village, but you know your neighborhood and you know what's best for your neighborhood. We need to engage you more. And with that, we want to recognize a couple of neighborhood associations that have formed in the past year. And Mayor Tower is going to join me to acknowledge two of our neighborhood associations that are new to this year, the Millers Bay Neighborhood Association and the Algoma Park Neighborhood Association. And I'd ask representatives from those two groups to come up here right now and receive their certificates for their success in creating their community associations. Turn around, get your photo op, come on. Thank you very much. You're probably asking yourself right now, how can I get one of those cool plaques? Well, let me tell you. In the back, the NeighborWorks table is there. Shelley Renke from NeighborWorks is there. I'm sure Bill Wyman's out here in the audience, a big leader in forming NeighborWorks here, and anybody else on the council or in our community development staff. We want you to get engaged and help us direct the future of your neighborhood. So if you are interested and your neighborhood hasn't developed an association yet, please stop at the NeighborWorks booth and learn a little bit more about how you can organize your neighborhood. The next goal that we have in our strategic plan is supporting business and economic development. And one of the themes that we've looked at with this over the last few years is how do we improve the process to make it easy for potential businesses to do things. So, of course, the Smart Alex and OCMS are taking me on 9th Avenue. Why? Because they want to take me through the roundabout. So thank you very much. Yes, Mark's having a joyride on the roundabout right now. But we're back on Keller Street, which we've gotten some new buildings out there, replacing some of the older buildings out there. But part of the idea was to improve the process to make things happen quicker, because the old adage, time is money, is very, very applicable here. And the mayor referred to our can-do spirit, and I think that that's part of what the site plan review committee has done. What we've done is we've taken all of our departments in the room at the same time with a prospective development project, so we can all engage and develop solutions for these folks, as opposed to going through silos where one department will say one thing and another department could say something potentially in conflict, and until those conflicts are resolved, the project would get delayed. We're not doing that anymore. We're doing this multidisciplinary approach. We coordinate our response, and it just makes things more efficient, and that's what we're about. The other thing we're doing, I know some representatives from the county here, County Executive Mark Harris, Dave Albrecht, the county chair. I think a vision that each of them had was to develop an aviation industrial park. They came to us and said, what can we do to help them? Well, what we can do is we can harness the tools that we all have used together. They take the advantage of the airport, we take the advantage of our TIF authority, and the fact that we have done industrial parkland in the past. We have wonderful resources here that are totally underutilized. Whitman Regional Airport and EAA. Meanwhile, who can forget about Oshkosh Premier Waterfront Hotel? The work that our friends with the Batley Group, the Pfefferly Group, I think Rich Batley's back here. I think I saw Dan Shetter, the general manager of the hotel. It's going to be a little over 30 days, and they're going to be open for business. So we're very happy about that. Yeah, give it up. This was one complicated project, and I think it goes to one of the things that we need to do to engage the community and work with our developers. They encountered a lot of hurdles along the way, and we've had to help them whenever they hit one of these hurdles where we had a role in their solution. And that's the type of approach we have. That's the can-do spirit, that when you have a project, we're going to make it happen for you. And one of the things that I always like to tell people is we will try to make your development process go smoother for you so you can get your project to fruition much sooner.
I think what we'd like to do is to make it easier for those people to come here, make Oshkosh a more attractive place where they're not seem like they have to go through a whole bunch of hurdles to start a business here. We have streamlined a lot of our processes to figure out how we can do that. I think it's finally starting to come around where people are recognizing our efforts, that we really are trying to help them.
The city used to be a place that was a troublesome place to do business. It was a place where people didn't look to expand. And a lot of that had to do with the red tape. It had to do with some of the mentality. It wasn't so much, how can we make this happen? It was, look at all this stuff that you need to jump through the hoops in order to even get something to happen. We've done 3 expansions since 2005. This most recent one that we completed in 2012, it was as close to a joyful experience as you can have when it comes to developing.
Easily, something like that could have taken, months. With the process that they've done, with the people that they have, they've essentially almost really cut that in half. Someone's always available in the community development department and/or inspections. Someone's there to answer questions and get you the required details so you can proceed with what's needed.
I'm not going to now acknowledge enough people with what I'm going to say, but John Zarate, our chief building official, was on the video. He's in the back. Alan Davis, our Community Development Director, old staff, sorry, Darren. Darren Burrich, our Planning Manager. Kelly Nyforth, our newest addition to our Economic Development staff. She's our Economic Development Specialist, our expediter. These are the folks that are working to make things happen in the Community Development Department, but they're also harnessing all the departments you see out here, because we really do need to work together to help bring things to fruition. And I'm really happy that tonight I'm able to announce something that we've been seeking for quite a while. We've just been notified by the state of Wisconsin that we are going to be an authorized agent of the state, and we're only going to be one of 15 communities in the entire state of Wisconsin to do commercial building plan reviews for buildings over 50,000 cubic feet. Now that's a big mouthful. What does that mean? What that means is for large commercial developments, they used to have to, before we could even look at their building plans to give a building permit, they needed to have a stamp from the state of Wisconsin that said, we've reviewed this and it meets all these codes. We are now taking that out of the process. The state of Wisconsin's authorizing us. We're contracting with a local architectural firm. The state was getting those plan reviews done in 30 days on average. We're going to get that done in 5 days, 3.5 weeks sooner. That's the type of stuff that we need to demonstrate to the business community. And if you can take anything from this tonight, especially if you haven't come to our building department to get something done in a while, well, it's understandable because you've been working to keep your business going. But if you're looking at expanding, you can do it here in Oshkosh. We'll make sure it's done safely and it'll be done expeditiously. That's something that we pledge to you. That's something that council's given us direction to do, and we're delivering on it, and we've got the numbers to show it. And I want to thank staff because they've been a big part of making that happen. Thank you. Which gives me an excellent transition to my next goal here. And the council really deserves a lot of credit because while they're hearing things from the community, they also said, hey, we need to improve employee engagement. The employees need to be more involved. And so employee engagement is another major goal that the council set. What I just talked about with happening in the plan review process was part of that employee engagement. In fact, it was one of our first ones. So we always have to acknowledge the employees by getting over, we're turning to Church Avenue, and yes, there's the construction on Church Avenue. I have no idea why City Hall looks like a Roman Colosseum, but we'll run with it. But the council wanted us to acknowledge the contributions of our dedicated staff. And it really is a bottom-up approach, getting employees involved, giving us input on all sorts of things, from employee wellness to technology to building review processes. We're engaging the employees more. And we're adding some employee teams, cross-section of the entire city organization, to give me input on things that are important for me, health insurance, all these different teams that we're organizing, because the best ideas come from the people who are directly involved in them on a daily basis. And the old adage, 2 heads is better than 1, well, if you've got 10 heads in a room, it can be even better. And the energy and the ideas that are coming from these groups is something that we're really looking forward to. And that's what this is all about, and we're hoping that we can use this as examples for other departments to use, because we started with building inspections, we're moving to some other departments, and we're really hoping to achieve some positive outcomes with employee engagement.
Employee involvement is important because it's a new way of doing business for us. Before, everybody kind of worked in their own silos, and the best process and the best answers weren't always created. If you don't have good employee involvement, you're really missing out on all the creativity that each individual employee holds. Whenever you have more eyes or more minds thinking about one project, you're going to come up with a better solution. It's also, you're going to create a happier workforce and a happier employee.
What I like to do is draw upon the people who have the most knowledge in an area. As a leader, I don't claim to have the working knowledge to the greatest detail that the people who do the job day in and day out would have. So what I like to do is draw upon them, ask them what is it that makes your job easier, what is it that makes it more difficult, where are areas that you could see us improving, either doing it in a less expensive manner, a more efficient manner, or more effective.
I think that's the goal of the city, is to get the employees more involved. Over the last couple of years, public employees have taken quite a beating at the state level and just from the local level. So it's great to get them involved and make them feel that they're valued employees instead of just showing up to work and going to the grind every day.
If you take a look at the card, two of the ones that I want to point out here, innovative. The greatest ideas are coming from our own employees. And even within some of the areas of complaints I heard when I first got here had to do with building inspection. John Zarate came from within the ranks. We didn't take him from outside. We brought him up through the ranks because through that employee engagement process, we saw people who had great ideas on how to improve things. And engaging. That's the other one on the card, engaging our employees, getting them involved. Again, I'm so proud of what they've been able to accomplish, and I think you're going to see more innovation. And when you go to the different booths after my presentation this evening, talk to them. If you have questions, and if you got complaints, that's okay too. They're here to help solve your problems and address issues that are important to you. So listen to the people who are solving these problems on a daily basis, and I'm extremely proud of what they do. So that brings me to the next one of our goals, and it's not just saying we're going to do things, it's also demonstrating that we are getting these done, and that's developing a performance culture. And that guiding principle, going back to this, is accountability. So again, we're back on the bus, and Mark's bobbing his head along, and we're back at City Hall because so many of our employees are there, but it's making ourselves accountable. Because when we go to City Hall at a council meeting, we want to be able to tell the council members that not only do we think we're doing a great job, okay, smart Alex, bumping in the road, I understand, get Church Avenue done too. Thanks, guys. The performance culture is something that was very important to council as well. And so many of our departments, as you'll see, some of our greatest examples are in our public safety, police and fire, the things that they do, our accountability with public works. We have GPS devices, so when somebody says a snowplow truck went by at 50 miles an hour in the middle of the night, we know it was 15.2 miles an hour. That's the type of thing that we need to be held accountable for that. But one of the other things we're doing is developing what are known as key performance indicators, what's known as a dashboard, to take a look and say, what's really important that the community is interested in, and what things are we doing to help improve things. And I'm very proud of the ideas that are coming forth with our departments, and I think as you talk to them this evening, you're going to hear about a few of those ideas that they're coming up with.
It's important for us to have key performance indicators for several reasons. Really, it's monitoring our performance and the outcomes in our city of what kind of services and to what quality the services are that we're providing to the people in our city for their tax dollar. The next step is also then benchmarking how well are we doing compared to other communities, how well are we doing compared to national standards or other cities that are collecting this data. A key thing in leading or managing employees is giving them feedback. Everybody wants to know how well they're doing.
And employees need to know, are they doing what they're expected to be doing? And then you try and align your internal systems, reward systems, recognition, discipline, all those kinds of things to match those performance measures. And then we develop a process, lag measures, lead measures, things that our employees can do each and every day to help us achieve those goals.
Once you can kind of find out some of the areas where there might be hang-ups or it takes a little bit longer to get something done, once you can figure a way to make those areas go a little bit quicker, that obviously improves your efficiencies. And the end result usually is a smoother running operation then.
Well, you weren't going to argue with the first two folks in uniform, but you also don't want to mess with Andrew Prickett either. Andrew gets, when we have a property complaint, and a lot of people say, well, how do I get a property complaint? Call our building inspections division. Andrew gets compliance 93% of the time, first time. So that's the type of performance that we need to work on. And Andrew's been able to deliver on that, and you're going to see more of that because we do need to be accountable to you and demonstrate that we're getting those types of things done. So that's our accountability measure that we're working on. Lastly, we don't want to forget what separates us as a great community, not just a good community, and that's our quality of life assets. People expect us to be a safe community. People expect us to have good roads. We don't always deliver on that, but we're doing better. But it's our quality of life assets that separate us. It's our museum. It's our library. It's our park system. Those are the things that when somebody goes home after getting recruited by an Oshkosh firm, they don't come back and say, hey, honey, there were no potholes in Oshkosh, because there are. But also, that's not what they're selling. They're selling great schools. They're selling great parks, great museum, great library, because those are the assets that people look for. And what better place, as we went on our map, down to the Riverwalk, and the progress that we're making on the Riverwalk. This is just Marion Road, and here's Wisconsin Avenue. We're almost done on the north side. As soon as the fish are done spawning this year, we'll finish up the area by Beckett's and the hotel, and then the new hotel visitors will be able to enjoy a nice leisurely stroll after dinner to go to downtown businesses. That's what this is all about. But it's also about the community enjoying these amenities, because you're the ones that are investing in these amenities. You deserve as much enjoyment out of these as we're trying to get visitors to. It's that balance, giving a benefit to everybody here. And the Riverwalk, it just didn't happen overnight, and we want to talk about that a little bit.
Well, the Riverwalk project has been on the drawing board and being discussed for about the last 40 years. And what we're looking to do is make the Riverwalk really a creation of what the city wants to be in the future. We want to make sure we have the Riverwalk so that if it is a residential condominium type development along the Riverwalk, that those citizens have access to the river, they have access to the trails, and also if it's a business, I could really see some mixed use type business along the Riverwalk, such as people coming from boats from afar to visit downtown Oshkosh.
Rivers attract people. And if you're at the hotel, the new hotel, and you want to do a walk, you can walk up one side of the river and down the other. People come to water, and that's good for everything.
You know, actually the river is quite an asset for the town, and I think that this would get them to appreciate it and make use of it. Kind of a good, satisfied feeling on something that's going to be accomplished.
It's wonderful for me, but it's also wonderful for all the people over some 40 years who have worked on it and made it possible. To their everlasting credit, the current and recent city council and the city manager have brought to fruition the vision that we had 40 years ago. I really think that when completed, the Riverwalk will rank with Menominee Park as one of the major attractions and benefits to the citizens of Oshkosh for generations to come. Eat your heart out, San Antonio.
What do I say after that? Eat your heart out, San Antonio. Just a word of advice. Let's not go to war with San Antonio. You'll set 5'4" Mark Roloff against 7' Tim Duncan. We won't last one round. Mayor Tower is going to join me because the vision for the Riverwalk was created over 40 years ago. And we're fortunate enough to have two of the people that appeared on our video here this evening. And Mayor Tower is going to be presenting awards to Mr. Leonard Reinke and Lurton Blassingame.
Hi, Mr. Reinke. I want to present this partnership award to you. And I understand you have a few words for the folks that are here this evening. So I can hold the microphone for you here.
Oh, just a minute. I got the words here. Now, just want to say, just thank you for this award. For developing the Riverwalk. It's been resting for a long time. I'm glad to live long enough to see it gain some movement.
Well, we'll have the north side done this year. So thank you for all your help.
We apologize for taking 40 years to finally get around to acknowledging your vision. But one of the things I want to point out is that we need to continue engaging the public because we hope we don't have to wait 40 years to fulfill some of these visions. But I think it shows that we need to be patient, and we need to carry out these visions that are set. And that's where you come in as a community, because these don't happen without your involvement. And I can't emphasize enough the value that you provide us and the strength that you give us to carry forward with these visions. I'm so happy to have gotten this Riverwalk off the ground. Our community development staff getting $2.5 million in grants over the last 3 years to make this Riverwalk a reality. They deserve a lot of credit, but it's the visionaries, it's the people that set the vision back when it was a bunch of old industrial areas, and they saw the potential that existed with that. So thank you, Leonard. Thank you, Lurton, and thank you, everybody who's involved in creating vision for our community. So my GPS device has run out of little icons to go to, so I want to talk about where we're going, and it's excellence in Oshkosh. So we're on the road, and we're continuing on the road, because this is not a journey that is going to be done, as the GPS says, in 15 minutes or something like that. Excellence in Oshkosh is an ongoing effort. We can't rest on our laurels. When the Riverwalk's done, there'll be another project. When the downtown hotel is open, there'll be storefronts to fill. There'll be other things to get done. So we want to make sure that no matter what happens, that we engage the community, and you help us carry forward with those things. Excellence in Oshkosh is something that you've asked us to achieve, and we're going to be doing it every single day. Please visit the departments and hear what they're doing to engage the community, to make our community better. I want to thank you for listening to me tonight, and appreciate everything you do to make our community great. Thank you. Now I'm going to ask Mayor Tower to join me back on stage, because the next phase of our program is our Community Partner Awards. And we want to honor some of our wonderful other community partners that we have. Without these partners, we wouldn't be able to flourish the way we do. This is the 3rd year we've been doing these Community Partner Awards. And let me tell you, you'd think after giving out a few of these, you'd just be running out of ideas. Well, departments keep giving me more and more ideas. Have you thought of this? Have you thought of that? And our department heads help narrow these down. And certainly there are many other people in the community deserving of awards, but we wanted to acknowledge a few other folks, several other deserving award recipients for tonight. First up, we want to recognize the Oshkosh Auxiliary Police. Consisting of 41 current members, the Auxiliary Police celebrated their 53rd anniversary in 2012. They logged more than 3,300 hours, volunteer hours, for 116 special events just last year. And they assist our police department in carrying forward a lot of safety-oriented activities associated with these special events. An interesting fact that really shows how much pride this auxiliary police group takes in their role and this partnership, they're still an active member of the original graduating class from 1959. And I was born in 1960, so that's a long time ago. That's Officer Junior Peterson. You'd think that after all these years, after 53 years, they would be calling him senior now. So thank you, Junior. This is a team of extraordinary individuals, and their commitment and dedication is a big reason that we can bill ourselves Wisconsin's Event City, because they make it happen for all these events that we have all summer. That's why it's my pleasure to ask Mike Cease, representing the Auxiliary Police, to come up here, and all the Auxiliary Police, come on up here, come up in front. Let's acknowledge all their work.
On behalf of all the men and women of the Auxiliary Police, we're really honored to be presented with this award tonight. Joining me up here is my Deputy Chief, Scott Footet, who is instrumental in the success of our unit, and the men and women of the Auxiliary Police. This is just a small group of them. Right now our head count is 42. We're real proud of that number. I'd like to begin by thanking our City Manager, Mark Roloff, Assistant City Manager, John Fitzpatrick, and the Police Chief, Scott Groyle, as they were instrumental in promoting the Auxiliary Police to receive this Community Partnership Award. In a true partnership sense, we must also recognize the officers of the Oshkosh Police Department. Without their support, we wouldn't be able to provide the services we do. Special recognition must also be made to our unit coordinators and advisors. Captain Kurt Cheney, who happens to be over by there at the display, Lieutenant Jim Jewell, Sergeant Matt Craning, and Officer Matt Harris. Throughout our 54 years serving Oshkosh, we've always been fortunate to have a dedicated group of advisors assisting us, but we've never had a better team than we have today. Thank you very much. The city manager mentioned one other important person, and that was Junior Peterson, but we also have one other person to mention tonight, and that's our former auxiliary chief, Don Chiava. Don nurtured and led this group for 51 years. Much of our success is directly reflected by Don's passion for this unit. We can never thank him enough for his dedication to our group. The men and women standing here in front of me tonight represent literally hundreds of auxiliary officers who've served the city since our beginning in 1959. Our unit's made up of retirees, factory and office workers, husbands and wives, public and private sector employees, and students enrolled in the criminal justice or law enforcement programs of our local universities. We all come from different backgrounds, but the one common thread that binds us, when we put on this uniform, we are all Oshkosh Auxiliary Police volunteers. Volunteerism is the founding principle of our unit. These men and women can be found working traffic intersections on some of the coldest days in winter, the most sweltering days in summer. They're seen working high school sporting events, church picnics, concerts, parades, and a long list of activities that has earned Oshkosh the recognition of Wisconsin's Event City. They show up and provide these services without expectation of being paid. They do what they do for the camaraderie, the civic pride, and the sense of accomplishment you get from completing an assignment successfully. And ultimately, we as a city are better for their service. Again, thank you for this recognition. Your support will help to ensure the Oshkosh Auxiliary Police is serving the citizens for another 50 years.
Our next recipient for a Community Partner Award tonight is the Sons of Union Veterans of the Civil War Old Abe Camp No. 8. The Sons of Union Veterans has been a committed partner to the Oshkosh Public Museum for many years. This outstanding group dedicates their time in preserving the memory of the men who fought to preserve the Union from 1861 to 1865. The Sons of the Union Veterans Old Abe Camp No. 8 has been very dedicated to helping preserve and build museum collections that represent the sacrifice and service of the men from Oshkosh. Their recent contributions to the museum include financial help to acquire a large collection of letters and materials related to Oshkosh officer Colonel John Hancock, as well as helping sponsor and restore a rare and historically significant, valuable Civil War flag, a flag which was sewn by Oshkosh women in the spring of 1861. While the Sons of Union Veterans are a small group, there's no question they've made a big impact thanks to their time and efforts and their dedication to our public museum. With that, there's many people to be recognized, but Vince Barker is going to be accepting the award on behalf of Sons of Union Veterans Old Abe Camp No. 8. Vince?
Hey, I just want to say thank you very much to Mark and Mayor Tower and Brad Larson and everybody at the museum for honoring us with this award. I just want to say that what we try to do is we try to remind everybody that here in the Fox Valley at Oshkosh, we have a lot of history right here, a lot of Civil War history right here. Hundreds and hundreds of young men went off to war in 1861 from right here in Oshkosh, Appleton, all over, and I'm sure many of you here in this room had the ancestors that were there. So we just like to keep that alive and try to help as much as we can, either financially or by doing dedications, putting up new headstones or whatever we need to do. We enjoy it. We're glad to do it. Just keep in mind that we're now in our 3rd year of the Civil War Sesquicentennial, the 150th anniversary. So keep that in mind. If there's any events that come up around this coming summer, please attend and support those. It's a very important part of our history. So again, on behalf of Old Abe Camp Number 8, just a few of us who are here tonight, we have an active role in our camp of about 50 right now. So we're going strong, and we'll continue to help all as much as we can here in Oshkosh. So thank you very much.
Our final Community Partner Award recipients this evening are Tom and Penny Herrenberg and the Oshkosh Zoological Society. Since 2006, Tom and Penny Herrenberg have made an annual contribution of $65,000 to the Menominee Park Zoo through the Tom and Penny Herrenberg Zoo Fund, established at the Oshkosh Area Community Foundation. The purpose of this fund is to allow free admission to the Menominee Park Zoo, free access to the zoo during the zoo season, and to assist with funding operations, exhibits, and improvements at the zoo. Funds in the recent past have helped finance the elk exhibit, the wolf exhibit, and the river otter exhibit that's currently being constructed and is expected to open in spring of 2013. Ray, 2013, are we good? All right, good, attaboy. Since free admission began in 2006, here's a really powerful thing to know about. Zoo attendance has increased from about 40,000 visitors a year to just shy of 80,000 visitors in 2012. That's due to what the Herrenbergs have done. Meanwhile, we have another partner, wonderful partner with our zoo. The Zoological Society is a nonprofit 501c3 organization that was formed back in 1978 to help raise funds for Menominee Park Zoo projects, educational programs, and animal care costs. The Society partners with the Oshkosh Parks Department to support and promote the Menominee Park Zoo and to help provide a meaningful educational and recreational experience for all our visitors. For 5 years, the Society's offered the Conservation Carnival at the zoo. This is an educational program for kids. The Society also pays the annual cost for the zoo to lease animals in various exhibits. They've contributed funds to help construct various exhibits at the zoo, and once again, most recently, $47,000 towards the river otter exhibit. And Ray says it's going to be open this spring, so way to go. They also help pay for educational signage at the zoo. So it's my pleasure to introduce our recipients. First, we'll start with Tom and Penny Herrenberg.
Well, many years ago, I grew up on the corner of Parkway and Oak, and whenever my parents didn't know where I was in Menominee Park. And going back to Richard Block, who was kind of the self-administered zookeeper at that time, and about this time of the year, he would have monkeys in his garage and some of the other animals just waiting for spring and summer to come so they could go into the zoo. But I've got great memories down there from the tricks that some of the Oshkosh baseball players played on me when I was a young boy, and they used to give me cracked baseball bats, and they used to give me balls, and one day, and I forget if it was Billy Heft or Larry Swanson or the Ty Rivers, but they said, "Hey son, how would you like a glove?" And my eyes lit up, and he said, "Here, take this glove," and then head straight home. They knew where I lived. And so I got about halfway out in the field, and all of a sudden somebody says, "Hey, look at that kid! He's stealing your glove!" You know, and here they, yeah, that's something I'll just never forget. It was quite an event. Also, the time that a Northwestern rep, I saw Jeff Bollier here earlier, but I used to fish down in the park, and the little secret there was, you know, you fish where the fish are, and the fish were in the duck pond. But that was off grounds, and so anyway, one day I, again, probably about in May, I had a stringer of fish, and I was dragging them home, and somebody from the Northwestern came and took a picture of me and said, "Well, son, where did you catch those fish?" You know, and I didn't dare say that I caught them in a duck pond. I said, "Well, I caught them in you know, Menominee Park Lagoon." And the next day, there were fishermen all over in the Menominee Park Lagoon, you know. But I was back at the duck pond, and I think last with my great wife, we're coming up this week on celebrating 49 years of marriage, and about 50. And about 50 years ago, we even spent a little time down in Menominee Park looking for the submarine races. So I thank you much. We're looking forward to keeping this going. In fact, we're looking forward to putting a fund together that'll make the zoo free forever and ever and ever. God willing. God willing, and as long as the stock market keeps rising.
Tom, I'm pretty sure the statute of limitations is passed on anything that you just admitted up here tonight. So thank you. And then lastly, of course, the Oshkosh Zoological Society, and Mamouna Khan is representing the Oshkosh Zoological Society. Come on up, and thank you and congratulations.
I thank you on behalf of the board. We have some of the members here. We're 10 strong and looking for more members if anyone's interested in helping the board. I've been with the board for 6 years, and we've made some progress. I'm really excited about the otter exhibit, thanks to the Oshkosh Area Community Foundation, the city. It's been great working with the city. I think between the three of us and the Herrenbergs, it's been a great cooperative effort, and I'm looking forward to making more things happen. Thanks.
Well, congratulations to all of our Community Partner Award winners this evening. And believe me when I say you're all very deserving. And with that, I'm going to turn over to Mayor Tower for the next part of our program.
Okay, thanks, Mark. As usual, Mark did a wonderful job. I think you can see the city made great strides during the past year, and will continue to do so in 2013 as we move forward. Mark organized his presentation today around the strategic plan. I just got a couple of words to say about that because we believe very strongly in strategic planning, the council and the staff, and we put a great deal of time and effort into it. It's going to provide us our focus as we move forward. It was developed by the city staff, by the council, but it also came out of citizen questionnaires that we've had the last 3 years on satisfaction, the study on various items, and on the visioning study. So we develop it with a lot of input from a lot of people. Those strategic objectives are what are going to give us focus when we make decisions. It is also how those strategic objectives that we will develop annual objectives. We'll develop the goals for the city manager. It'll always be around that strategic plan, and it's that strategic plan, as Mark mentioned, that's going to help us develop metrics. It'll be performance indicators that will provide us with a dashboard that we can constantly evaluate ourselves and progress. And that's extremely important this time of limited budgets with a lot of demands out there. It also will enable you to be able to hold us accountable as time goes on. You have those cards, and we wanted those cards for people, and I hope those cards aren't going to end up on the floor or on the can by the back of the room when you walk out the door. I hope you'll put them in your billfolds or whatever, and periodically pull them out. If you're watching a council meeting, pull them out and say, is the council living up to the strategic plan? Because That's what we intend to do when we make spending decisions in the budget. We plan to have that. I know it's hard to read, but you may want to get a magnifying glass for those of you that are getting a little older like me, but it's still readable, and it will be our GPS, and we do plan to use it, and I think it's so important today. So it's really been a great step forward, and I'm pleased the city manager led us in that process. Again, I want to thank the community partners for doing so many things that make this a great community in which to live. There aren't a lot of rewards that come with being a mayor or a council member, but one of the things that's most gratifying is to have a number of people in this community that volunteer, that step up to help get things done. And sometimes we even get to take some of the credit for it. So we do appreciate that. Which takes me on to my next point. What we want to do now is spend a little time recognizing some of the people on our boards and commissions. We want to focus tonight on those who have achieved some significant milestones on the various boards and commissions. We're going to put the spotlight on 14 people today, but we'd like to thank all 168 citizens who serve on our 25 boards and commissions. Whether you dedicate your time for 1 year, 2 years, or 20 years, what you do is truly appreciated by us. Those who are going to be recognized tonight have achieved various 5-year milestones, and after some opening remarks by Deputy Mayor Steve Cummings, Steve, you want to come on up? I will hand out the awards as he reads off the names of the evening's recipients.
Thank you, Mayor Tower. Before we begin presenting the Citizen Service Awards, I'd like to offer my sincere thanks to all of those who serve on our various boards and commissions. You make the lives of the council a whole lot easier by doing a lot of the prep work for us, so thank you to everyone. We'll start with those boards and commission members who have achieved 5 years of service. Honorees are asked to please step forward as you hear your name mentioned. Everyone, please hold your applause until all the names have been called. The first is Todd Cummings, the Downtown Bid Board. Diane Lowe, Grand Opera House Advisory Board. And Ben Schneider, the Redevelopment Authority. Moving on. Thank you. We'd now like to honor those who have achieved 10 years of service. Paul Schmidt, Board of Review. Lurton Blasingame, Library Board. Kathy Propp, Plan Commission. James Caprillion, Traffic Review Advisory Board. And Braxton Patterson, Grand Opera House Advisory Board. Let's give them all a round of applause. Now, would those who have achieved 15 years of service please come forward to receive your plaque? Marilyn Habercorn, Grand Opera House Advisory Board. Terry Wooler, Advisory Park Board. And Jay Rashman, Parking Utility Commission. Our 3 final honorees of the evening have achieved 20 years of service. They are Mary Louise Lewis, Grand Opera House Advisory Board. Michael Norton, Transit Advisory Board. And Carol Fenrick, Museum Board. Our boards and commission are always looking for more members from our community to get involved and share some of their time. If anyone, either in the audience or watching at home or online, is interested in joining a board or commission, you can just log onto the city's website, write this down, www.ci-oshkosh.wi.us, and under I want to, select Apply For, followed by Boards and Commissions. Do you all have that? Now I'll ask Mayor Tower to come back to the podium for the closing remarks. Thank you.
Thanks, Deputy Mayor Cummings. Also want to express my appreciation to the members of the various boards and commissions. What you do is extremely important for us as council members as we develop as we make our policy decisions. We need a good deal of background work done. You do the background work, so when things come to us, they're pretty well developed. That's the reason there are a lot of very positive decisions, because the hard work's been done before it gets to us, so we're most appreciative of that. Just a reminder for all of you also tonight, when we finish up here, which I'm going to do here in just a couple of seconds here, we do have the expo around, and I do hope you'll go around and meet the people and see what's going on with respect to programs on the city, and also meet the individuals who make things happen in the various departments. A lot of you hear your names, but you don't always get to see them. Tonight you can meet them and ask them questions. And finally, in leaving tonight, I want to leave you with a quote that I think definitely applies to the city of Oshkosh. Your future hasn't been written yet. No one's has. Your future is whatever you make it. So make it a good one. Here's to a bright future for Oshkosh and working towards that bright future. So thank you for coming tonight. Enjoy the expo.